This is a quickfire tutorial in which I'm going to explain how to create a table in my dBee account. This is the account here. This is what you would see when you first log in. And I'm going to deploy that table out to a client website, which is here. And I'm going to stick the table immediately under this horizontal rule on this particular web page. In order to move things along a bit, I've already created a couple of extra windows here, which I'm going to show you. I have already created an FTP client here, and this index.html is the file we're going to edit, or that is the file that we're looking at. And here you will see I have already opened that file in Notepad. You'll probably think that you can't see much of the code, and that's probably a good thing. This website has been thoroughly hacked around. It's been through many different people who've maintained it, and each of them has added their own little quirks. So basically, all you need to be able to see is actually visible here, and all we're really going to be looking for is the end of the head section, and then we actually want to find the location that we are going to put our table in, and that actually comes in. There's the second of the horizontal rules, and if you look at this, there is an ID, a div with an ID called content, so that's a good start. And here is, within content, there are two divs, and I've rather helpfully put in a little comment here that says table to go here. So that is where I'm going to try and stick this table. So it is going to be after the first div that is contained within a div with an ID of content. In order to follow along this tutorial click by click, you need to set two little settings before you start, and that is, firstly, you would like to go down into the device menu, and down here where it says auto save all, ensure that the auto save all checkbox is checked, so apply that. And then in the master database we need to go into the properties, and here where it says it is public, check the is public checkbox. So let's get started and create a table. You can see here from the opening page, I'm going to create a table within the default master database. That's sort of there in order to get you started, and you can see another couple of tutorials that I've done have already created a table within there. So we're going to press the plus button, which is to create a new database object, and the type we are going to call the database object daily schedule. Now actually, unfortunately, you can't see the drop down menu here, but you have an option of table, query, view, template or script. Now at the minute, this is the simplest tutorial, and we're just going to take an absolutely straightforward table and we're going to deploy that out onto the client website. There is no business layer, there is no business logic, and therefore we can just simply use it as a default table. So we'll press OK to that, and we now have a daily schedule table created. We can go into that, and it's empty. So what we need to do is to create some columns. Here's a little cross spanner and hammer. So we'll click on that, and we'll click the plus button to create a column. Now the first one we're going to call is name. It can remain as a simple varchar, which is a text field. We're going to have the next one is going to be location, and again that may as well just be a varchar. Next one we're going to call a comment. Now that could be a bit longer, so I'm going to make it into a text field. Now again, unfortunately you can't see the pop-up window here, but I'm going to select text. There are quite a number of different data types that you can choose, but text is a multi-line data type, and that makes it a little bit easier to see what's to actually edit and enter data. Let's put one more in, and we're going to call it ETA. ETA. No, we're not. We're going to call it lowercase ETA, and I'm going to have a display name of ETA. That is just the way I like to do things, and that is I normally don't put capital letters into the field names. Also, you're not really supposed to have a number at the beginning of a field name or have it all numbers. That can remain also as a varchar. Although it is a time field, I think our chap actually was going to want to put in things like 2:30 approximately, might be a bit later or that sort of thing, so it isn't going to be that strict, this system. So we'll close that, and now we have got a table. That's good. So if we go back and take a look now, we're going to go right back to the root. I'm going to look in the public folder, and here we have dBee XEJS. Now that is and it's in the master folder. Now that is what you might like to call a self-executing database file, if you ever imagine what one of those could be. And it actually has some properties, and one of its main properties is that it has an embed script, which we are going to copy, going Control Copy, and that's Control C. We're going to go OK. Good. Now, I am now going to go back to Notepad, and here it is, and I'm going to look for the head of my table here, of the head within the HTML, and I'm going to paste that entry in. There is dBee XEJS, and this is the path to it. So that script is now embedded in the head of the HTML, and so we'll press save. And now if I go back to Chrome, I could go in here and refresh, but actually, although it is a self-executing database file, we haven't actually told it to do anything yet, so nothing is going to happen, so there's not much point to doing that. What we actually need to do is go back to our master database, and we need to look at its properties, and we need to find the tab or the section called deployment, which is the third one down. Looking at deployment, it has a startup script. So, and it would appear as if I have already, in practicing this tutorial, I've already written it in. Let's have a look here. So AJ master, AJ is the root of our databases. Master is the database that we're selecting. Daily schedule is the table within master. Render is a function that is going to put the table into the page. This is where we want to put it, which is content div. That's its target. But actually we're not putting it into the target, we're putting it after the target. So that seems simple enough. We'll apply that and leave that window open, and now we'll go in here and refresh our page. Now that's good. There is the table, and there's no data in it, so perhaps we better go back now and put some data in. Okay, that, and let's go and try and remember what we're doing. Apply that, and let's go into daily schedule, and let's add a row. That hit the plus button again, surprisingly. Now we are going to call him Mr. Smith, and he lives near here in Woburn. could take all morning. That's a little comment about how you can actually make that a bit bigger if you want to have a look at it. And ETA, we're going to be there at 9 AM in the morning. So we're going to save that, or no, tell you what, we'll add another row, and I'll add two more rows, but that's getting a bit dull, so I'll come back when I've done that. Good. Right, now I've done that, and so what I need to do is to save it. Let's go down here and hit Save All. So now if I go into other services and refresh, I should see something. Yes, I do. That's good. Now there's a bit of a scroll bar there. Now let's start tidying this up. If you look at this, I don't think we really needed the ID column, and actually I rather wonder whether we needed the headings at all. Although it would be nice to have something up there that said what the table is, like sort of daily schedule or something like that. So let's quickly go in there and do that. Here we go. We need to go back now into the structure of this table, and its ID there. There's the options for the ID column, and there's a hide button. Check that, and that's okay, that's hidden. Now that's okay, close that, and let's go and look at the properties of daily schedule. And where are we? Properties, we are looking to turn off the column headers. So uncheck that and apply that, and let's go back there and get my daily schedule back. There it is. So no headers, and yes, and no ID. So we have saved that, I think, haven't we? Yes, nothing to save. Here we go. Refresh. There you go. Right, no headers, no ID column. Good. Now let's consider putting the little piece of text at the top. Now we want to edit some. Basically, we've got a little wrapper HTML, and you can't see it because the screen is too small. So we'll go down to here, and here's the HTML. At this point now, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go and pick up some text I've already written. So you don't really want to watch me typing away. And what have I done here? I've created a wrapper div, and within that I have put in a paragraph, and I've written in the word daily schedule, and beneath that I've created another div with an ID of target. Now that there is where the table is going to go. Anywhere where it finds within this block of HTML where it finds a div with an ID of target, or at least anything with an ID of target will do. So we'll apply that, and we'll go and take a look at our service, other services page, and there is the word daily schedule. Now, okay, that's not quite what I wanted. I would rather probably have it red and in the middle. So let's go and close that now, and let's go and edit our little CSS block. Now here we are. Here is some empty page, and I'm going to cheat again. Here we are, and plonk this in. It doesn't need to be that far down. Now I've created a paragraph. This is pure CSS, and anything which it finds within a paragraph is going to have color of red. Font weight will be bold, and the font size will be 2M. And in this case, actually, I've had to put in an important because it's being overridden by the outside page. So we'll apply that. Hit this, and there we go. Would really have quite liked to have had it in the center, so let's just try that. Text, align, center. Click on that, apply. Good. I will come back to that and fix that in a minute when I've worked out what I've done wrong. In the meantime, let's go and fix the other things. Now, what you're seeing here is that current row highlighting is already on, is switched on, and that actually is extremely useful in lots of situations, and this situation is not one of those. So we don't really want that. And the other thing about displaying these tables read-only is that it will always attempt to display each line simply on one line. Now actually that's and then it actually will truncate the text, so that actually is exactly what we don't want. So let's go fix these two things. We'll turn off the current row highlighting and we'll change the wrapping on this text here. So we'll go down to here, and we don't need this now. We need the properties of daily schedule, and we want to go into the display tab, and white space does not want to be no wrap, it wants to be normal. Now that will mean that that should reformat, and we'll get rid of that little horizontal scroll bar. And what was the other problem I'm looking for? Yes, no current highlight. We don't want to highlight the current row, so we will select that checkbox, press OK. Let's go and have a look, and that looks better. Good. We could actually turn this odd even on or off if we wanted, but actually I quite like it, so I think we'll leave that. If I had wanted to change it, it is there, odd even. Good. That's all quite fun. And what I did wrong here was that daily schedule, I've set it to text-align center, but this whole page has a text-align justify that is overriding that. And so what I'm going to need to do is go into the CSS, the style, and to text-align center, and I'm going to have to put in an important. That's it, I think. Let's apply that and take another look. Good. I think it looks reasonably neat. I could, if I wanted, put in, and I will just now do this with just some rubbish just to show you, hello, what's going on here. My internet seems to have frozen up. Cancel that. Now let's try saving this again. Right, well, it's worked. Actually, I don't know what that was. I'm afraid that was just simply I think a blip in my internet connection. Press OK here. Now I've now lost my thread. What was I trying to do? And now let's go and put some text down here at the bottom. I need to go and look and find my HTML. It just so happens I have a little bit of text there. Here's some text at the bottom, span. Apply that, and let's take a look. And here is some text at the bottom. Good, that looks okay. Let's consider now just putting some, let's just make it green. Span, color, for no good reason, but just to show you that we can. Apply. Refresh. That's quite exciting. Right, so actually that's changed everything to green, as I really only wanted that one at the bottom, so I'm now actually going to have to be a tiny bit more specific. Span, we're going to call it dot bottom. That is, put a class of bottom on there, apply that. We'll have to close it, and we'll have to go back to the HTML and put a class of bottom on it. Span class equals bottom. Apply. Refresh this, That's it. So only the text at the bottom is now green. I think that's about it. Oh no, it isn't. There's a couple of things I realise I've forgotten to tell you. Now, for the more advanced, more experienced programmers looking at this, there may be a couple of things you'd slightly wonder about. And so, firstly, in the startup script, if I now go to the startup script for the master database, which is here, deployment startup script, you may rather wonder why this works, because content div, there are two divs in the content, in the div with an ID of content, and so in theory that's going to render the table daily schedule twice. However, in fact, the setup is that it will only ever pick the first element that it finds, and so this could actually, content div could actually be 15 different separate elements, but it will only ever pick the first one. So that clears that up. We'll close that, and then we will go and look at the CSS for, not this one, back for a minute, master daily schedule, the CSS for this. You may also wonder, well, span bottom is reasonably specific. P, a paragraph, is very non-specific. Now, is that CSS going to change everything on the entire page? On the face of it, it would look as if it was, but in fact, this CSS is always scoped simply back to the component that it is embedded in, and therefore it will only change paragraphs that are within the component that we put on the page. So it doesn't leak out into the wider page and corrupt the rest of the client page. Okay, I think that has summed that up. So to sum up, we have created a table. We've deployed it out to a client website, and we have customized it a little bit to make it look correct in its new location. And this, it has to be said, is about as simple as it gets. There is no SQL behind here, there's no business logic, and this is a pretty crude system, because basically every evening this chap's going to have to go home, delete these entries and put in the ones for the following day. So it's a bit long-winded, but nevertheless it is a useful job. We've done it in about 10 minutes, and we've used dBee to do it. So hopefully you'll be looking forward to the next tutorial, in which I will start to move on and show this same setup turning into a rather more sophisticated program. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.